Hey, all Kate here from Emerald Minecarts. Welcome back to another review. And today I'm reviewing the newest entry of the VHS series, VHS Halloween. Now, if you don't know what the VHS series is, VHS series is a horror anthology found footage series that has a VHS slash analog aesthetic. Could the VHS series technically be considered analog horror? I mean, depends on who you ask. For me personally, not really, but I guess so. It does. Okay, most of the segments do involve analog technology, and analog horror did somewhat evolve from found footage. So I'll it depends on who you ask. So yeah. Now, obviously, with the VHS series, I'm not really going in any order because one, the first three movies aren't on Shutter yet, and two, look, this is my YouTube channel. I can go in whatever order I want to. But yeah, like I mentioned, VHS Halloween is the newest entry in the VHS series, and I've been looking forward to this movie ever since the trailer came out. Like, when I was on YouTube, on my phone, scrolling through YouTube, I saw the trailer for this, and I reacted to it immediately. Okay, maybe not immediately, more like I went on my computer and did the reaction, but yeah. Anyways, so yeah, pros, the cons, and the mids. First off, the Halloween vibes. Now, obviously, when you're working on something that's related to Halloween, you need to make sure you have those Halloween vibes in there. Because, if you don't, then, the project might be bad. Now, thankfully, VHS Halloween has the Halloween vibes on point. The trick-or-treating, the candy, the costumes, the scary. Honestly, yeah, the Halloween vibes for this movie, pretty good. Okay, I'll talk about my recommendation for this movie later, but yeah. So far, I quite recommend it. Next up is the VHS aesthetic. Now, when I talk about this, I'm mostly talking about how these segments are recorded, because again, the VHS series is a found footage series, and usually the VHS series is recorded on like VHS recorders. Now, not all of the segments use the or VHS recorders. In fact, one of them, which is my favorite segment, actually uses more modern cameras because it takes place in the modern day. But besides that, I quite like, sorry, it's currently 2 in the morning when I'm recording this, but besides that, yeah, the VHS thing is still there, it's pretty good. Next up is the music. Once again, the music for this movie is pretty good, and I also really like the music that appears at the ending slash the credits of this movie, especially since near the ending part of the song that plays in the credits, and it has the singer go on like a crash out that reminds me of the same crash out that the singer from Disturbed has in the song Down with the Sickness. Someone who really likes that song, I quite like the song as well. So yeah, the music, pretty good. Next up is the practical effects. Now, the practical effects in this movie are absolutely amazing. The VHS series mostly relies on practical effects, and while yes, they will use CGI here and there, usually it's not bad, thankfully, and again, they mostly rely on practical effects, and again, I absolutely adore practical effects, especially when it's like you can tell the amount of work that was put into it. Okay, here's the thing. Obviously, I don't hate CGI. Hell, I grew up with Michael Bay's Transformers movies. But besides that, yeah, I absolutely love the practical effects. Pretty good. So yeah. And next up, the gore. Now, okay, look, I know I'm not at the point where I can get paid by YouTube yet, but, I still want to wait before I start swearing. So, the gore. Holy fucking shit. The gore in this movie. Okay, little explanation. So, you would be watching Netflix and when you pause it, like, the screen will pop up the name of what you're watching, and under it will be, like, a short little description about the thing. Shutter does the same thing Shutter does the same thing, and those short little description for VHS Halloween is, like, something like, oh, these stories are gory. They were not lying. Holy shit. Especially, like, during the connecting segment in the last segment. Like, oh, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. Which I speaking of segments. First segment, Coochie Coochie Coo. Okay, look, before this movie, I was perfectly okay with that saying, but after watching this movie, I hate that saying now, especially how gross this segment made me feel. Now, when I watched the trailer and I saw the adult baby people, my first thought was, oh, I hate that, and that can be implied in this segment. Oh, I see that. That's not a bad thing, because honestly, the segment is pretty good. Sure, does it make me feel gross? Yeah, but it's pretty good. And the practical effects are amazing. Like, the monster of this segment is like this ghost lady who, like, if people who are too old for trick or treating come to her house, she kidnaps them and essentially she mentally changes them into babies and, like, makes their faces look all chubby like a baby, and it's just and there's also like she also has like this one woman hooked up to some milking device, and like it's just oh god, like all I'm gonna say is if you are squeamish, you might want to skip out on this one. I'm just saying. And also, a little important note. Before I watched this movie, I used the bathroom. The reason I used the bathroom is so I didn't accidentally shit or piss myself while watching this movie. It's excellent, I didn't do that. But yeah, next up is the segment Fun Size. Fun Size is directed by the guy who made Too Many Cooks, which is a short on Adult Swim, which Adult Swim also posts on YouTube. And the YouTube post version of Too Many Cooks is actually the only video with its own custom font. I'm not joking. But yeah, Fun Size has a more of a comedic tone. It's not like complete comedy, but you can definitely sense that there is a bit of funniness here. But yeah, the gore for this one is amazing, especially since part of the Fun Size is basically the people who live in the house, which are these like two candy mascot characters. Basically, if someone takes more than one candy from their bowl, they get sucked into it and they are put in a factory where they get chopped up and turned into candy. And it's gross, but also plays into humor because one of the main characters who gets chopped up, we get to see on this little screen their penis get chopped up and it goes by on the conveyor belt and gets covered in caramel and chocolate and it's so gross, but it's darkly comedic. In fact, we actually see it earlier in the short when like our four main characters are like looking through the candy bowl and like are finding all the off-brand candy. Now, okay, usually in films or movies or shows or any other piece of media, you usually need to get the rights for the main brand candy. So not only this is like a good way to like be like, hey, we can't get the main brand stuff, but also like one of the characters like discovers that they can't find anything about it online. Also, one other thing I want to mention, once two of the main characters get sucked in the candy bowl and the other two escape, one of them tries to call police, but the candy bowl literally flies towards them, and I don't know why, but that like seeing that shot kind of made me unnerved, and I don't know why. But yeah, the gore and the practical effects were absolutely amazing. And actually, the main candy mascot guy who was in one of the thumbnail, he was in the thumbnail for one of the trailers. That was the one that caught my eye. And honestly, I like his design, and obviously he and his little minion aren't human. They're obviously non-man-made creatures beyond human comprehension that just so happen to possibly be made out of candy. Like there's a scene where like the main candy mascot guy gets his hand chopped off, but then a bunch of gumballs come out and his hand regenerates. It's really cool. Yeah. There's also a scene where like one of the characters is kidnapped, and then when our two remaining characters go check her out, we see there is a tube up her ass, and it's sucking out candy. And okay, look, there are sentences that I never thought I would say in my life, but hey, there's a first for everything. But yeah, there's also, as our two remaining characters try to escape, there's like this semi-emotional scene where they're like, "Oh, I would marry you," but then one of them dies and the other one escapes, only for the main Kenny mascot guy to appear out of nowhere and to literally clap the main character's head. So, yeah. Also, this segment ends with possibly or possibly not confirmed child death, which I will get to in the next segment, and is actually something I might call and relate to one of the other segments. But besides that, oh yeah, I honestly quite like Fun Size. Honestly, the main candy mascot, I absolutely love his design. In fact, I think I might draw him actually. But yeah, next up is Home Haunt. Home Haunt is the final segment. It follows like a small family that consists of a mom, a dad, and a son. The dad and son used to be really close with each other, and they would hold this cool haunted house attraction. But years have passed, and like the kid is a teenager, and he doesn't want to do the haunt thing anymore because he gets bullied for it, which is really ridiculous. But then again, you have to realize that he's a teenager, he's in middle school, children are cruel in general. But yeah, honestly, yeah, Home Hunt is definitely one of the best ones that I've seen, but it also kind of has the problem of child death, which, again, if child death is a sensitive subject to you, which obviously it's a sensitive subject to anyone, but if it affects you a lot, I would rather skip out on this one. But yeah, Home Hunt actually does show two children death. One death shows a child gradually being ripped apart by zombies, and then the other one, okay, it doesn't completely show it, but it basically shows a child being boiled into a skeleton, which, yeah, to say I definitely screamed holy shit and holy fuck, yeah. And also there was this scene where like, okay, so there's like middle this middle-aged couple, and like the husband is like, oh, this is stupid, oh, this is fake. And there's a segment, like part of the segment where like you're these like seemingly prop ghosts. But then one of the sheets rises above the husband and goes down on him, and like you hear all this twisting and cracking, and when it cuts back to the husband, the ghost sheet is like shooting out blood and stuff. It's like, oh my god! Again, this is definitely the most glorious segment. So yeah, but yeah, basically how all this chaos happens is the father finds this like record in a staff only room, which, I definitely feel like there is a reason why it was in staff only, hidden in a chest. So yeah, and Home Haunt ends with, well, another child getting murdered on screen by a witch, and it ends with the haunt itself coming to life, which was actually the final shot in the trailer for this movie. Which, yeah, again, I'll get to the child death in my cons for one segment that I just didn't really like because of it. But anyways, then finally for the connecting segment, Phantasma, which I kept reading as Diet Phantasma or Phantasma. I can't read it. Yeah, Diet Phantasma. Um, yeah, sorry. Again, it's 2 in the morning, almost 3. But yeah, Diet Phantasma is okay. It basically follows a corporation who makes a soda that is made from ghosts. Yeah, So you could imagine that drinking the essence of a ghost probably isn't the best idea, and we get to see the effects of this, especially on children. It only happens to two children. Uh, Only one of them dies, and thankfully the death is not shown. Well, on screen at least. The explosion is shown though, but thankfully the death is not shown. But then the other children ends up getting possessed, and she is used in a commercial. Basically, this drink causes okay, it basically causes the angry spirits who've been turned into the liquid to kill or mutilate the person who drinks it. And, like if I was a ghost and I was turned into a drink against my will, I too would also be quite mad. But yeah, also, someone wanted to mention one of the scientists happened to look like Funky Frog mate, so I just found that funny. But yeah, Dying Phantasm is actually Dying Phantasm is a connecting segment. Honestly, it's pretty good. And again, you can obviously imagine that uh, drinking the essence of a ghost probably isn't the greatest idea. Now the cons, which is my main one con. And okay, once again, have to okay look. Obviously, child death is a very touchy subject, especially for people who have kids. And the segment Kid Prince, yeah, it's definitely what's the reason why I had a bit of dislike towards this entry. Because Kid Prince, uh, it, Kid Prince is definitely the darkest segment of this movie. And until I fully watch the series, for now, it's definitely the darkest segment of the VHS series because holy shit! Like one of the characters who works at like this VHS store is like revealed to be the killer, and he's like a complete psychopath. But like our main character ends up getting framed, and he dies, and like the actual killer ends up getting away, and it's just honestly, Kid Print is genuinely really fucking disturbing. And again, if child death is a touchy subject for you, yeah, I would definitely skip out on this one. And to be perfectly honest, if when I ever do rewatch VHS Halloween, this is definitely the segment that I'm going to skip. And that's just a personal thing. Because, again, personally for me, child death is a very touchy subject because, the idea of someone so young being killed is just. It just doesn't really float with me. And now, finally, the mids, we have Utsupra Sikinfra, or As Above, So Below in Mexico. If I mispronounce that, I'm sorry. So yeah, this is one of the segments. It's in mids because, honestly, for me, it kind of takes a while for things to actually get going. But basically, this takes place after a Halloween party where a murder happened, and it's basically like it's discovered that like one of the people who attended the party. Okay, so there was this group who left from party to see this like haunted place. What they all find this haunted phone. One of them picks it up. They become possessed and use their powers to scoop out the eyes of the other people. And it's really honestly, the special effects in this are pretty good. And actually, one of the people in this, like one of the officers, they happen to look like Negan a bit, which pretty cool. And also, the teen or the guy who like was possessed and committed the murders also does look like Dustin from Ninja Storm. So, yeah. So yeah, that is everything. So VHS Halloween gets 6 out of 7 stars. It would be higher, but again, the Kid Prince segment. I'm sorry. Again, that segment just kind of pushed things a bit too far for me personally. But yeah. Besides that, yeah. VHS Halloween was pretty good. There's people talking about how the next VHS movie should be based off of like Thanksgiving or Christmas, which I mean, even if Thanksgiving is after Halloween, obviously we have corporations putting Santa dick down all over throats, so there's that. But yeah, honestly, yeah, this movie was pretty good. It did have, obviously, it had some data that I could have been without. But yeah, honestly, yeah, quite like this. Can't wait for the next entry. So yeah. Anyways, that was it for this video. Make sure you all subscribe and like for more, and I'll see you all later. Peace out, home guards, and goodbye. Oh, little just future editor's note. I just want to mention two things. One, I kind of find it funny how after the fun size segment we get the most darkest segment of the movie, which is Kid Prince. I don't know, I just kind of find it funny how, like, after a goofy segment, we get a more serious and very dark segment. Also, I don't know how I didn't mention or notice this, but the the grumpy husband who kind of looks like Wes Craven, yeah, that's Rick Baker. You know, the guy who made the best werewolf transformation for one of the best werewolf movies. I'm genuinely surprised how I did not notice that was him. I feel like a fake horror fan now. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that stuff up. So, yeah. Now back to the outro.